right, hey everyone, welcome to our Altered Carbon After Show. I'm Josh.
I'm Jessica.
I'm
And we are here to talk about episodes 1 and 2 of the Netflix series Altered Carbon. The way we are working the show is a little bit different than how we work all the other after shows. We are going to be changing out the casts for every 2 episodes. So like I said, this one is episodes 1 and 2. Next week will be episodes 3 and 4. It'll be myself and 2 brand new people. So before we actually get started on digging into the episodes as a whole, because you guys watched the first 2,
correct?
What did you like overall? What were your thoughts about it?
I liked it. I think we talked earlier. It was a little Black Mirror, a little less dark version of, I would say, season 3 of Black Mirror. So I like the kind of trend that we're seeing with sci-fi where it's like the collective consciousness, like isolating that. I see that more and more in a lot of the shows and movies that are coming out. So I thought that was cool. It was a little confusing for me, but overall,
I
thought it was pretty good.
A lot of questions going like right off the bat. Like it seemed like there wasn't any holding back. It was like, okay, we're gonna confuse you right away.
Yeah, it took a while for me. I don't know. What did you think, Elle?
The same thing. Like, I was super confused, but the visuals were so great and engaging, and most of the characters are really interesting, and you want to find out more about them. So I think that's kind of what pulls you into the show, makes you continue to watch it.
Right, and neither of you have read the books or are familiar with the book series, right? So, for those of you guys who don't know, the series is based off of a series of books by Richard K. Morgan. I'm not sure exactly how many books are in the series, but we know that this first season is 10 episodes, so I would imagine if there's additional books past what's come up and they get good ratings, they'll probably go on for another season. We'll be digging into additional books, kind of like The Expanse on Sci-Fi, where it just keeps going. So, jumping right into the episode, it starts off with just a body kind of floating in the water. And we're kind of confused.
You're talking about the intro?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
But you guys were saying that you kind of liked how it just kind of like went into it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Actually, before that, you had some symbolism, right?
Yeah, just like in the opening sequence, like the whole thing, I guess, like snakes in general, about shedding their skin, and that kind of gets you into the mentality of like what this show is about and the sleeping. Do we want to talk about some of like the language?
Yeah. Let's start, I guess, by talking about what we're going to be talking about, because there is a lot of new language in there. It's sort of like Battlestar Galactica, I guess, where they had their own terms and everything for things that people wouldn't necessarily be familiar with. Basically, the overall premise of the show, like the overarching world that we live in, is that people have now come to a stage where they can download their consciousness into what's called a stack that's implanted at the base of their neck. And if they die, this stack can be removed and put into another body, which they call sleeves. Poor people obviously have less of a chance to do this. More like richer people are able to put their bodies into either clones, or they can buy a sleeve that they like better. They can trade bodies out,
with upgrades and things like that.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot of different things, and we haven't even seen everything yet that I think is possible. Like the original guy that we see, he's able to like see through walls and do a lot of other things, hear things a lot better. Yeah. And I'm also assuming that there's going to be more technology that comes about that we still don't know about yet.
Yeah, definitely. And then like, so there's like death, and then there's like a real death, that when the body dies and you still have your stack, it's fine. But when your stack is corrupted or damaged in some way, then you're like actually dead.
Like to really cease existence, you would have to shoot somebody in the base of the neck or base of the head and shatter that stack. But otherwise, your consciousness is in there, and we'll get to it, but from what it appears, when you're in the stack, it's almost like darkness. So kind of like a religious version of purgatory. Yeah. Right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It seems to be so far.
That's what
because there's the group of I guess they're like Christian fundamentalists that are like sleeving is bad. If you put your consciousness into another body, you're automatically going to hell.
Right.
Like
it's like your soul is not meant to live eternally in this world. It needs to pass on and be in heaven.
Right.
It seems like that.
But at the same time, I mean, that also raises interesting philosophical questions, because if the brain dies, if there is an afterlife, your consciousness is now just in this technological like piece of hardware. So is that actually you and your soul, or is
That's
that
what I
just
struggle
like
with too. I'm like, is it the soul, or is it just because consciousness is you referred to as like your reality in your dream world of your brain. So when the brain shuts off, you're left with what, at least what we think is a soul. So is it the soul is in the stack too? That's kind of where I struggle.
Or is it just a computer recreation of your of what your mind, your brain?
Right, and if so, if it's like a copy, then is it really you? Like, I struggle with the whole thing. But for the sake of the show, it is you. It's as if your soul is in the stack for
like all of your
all intents and purposes,
experiences, and everything else.
Because for me, like I would assume, you know, like if you're religious and you believe that there is an afterlife, you probably think that you just go ahead and you die, and that this is a computer simulation of what your life actually is. Whereas people who don't believe that and believe that when you die, it's it's just you're done.
Right.
That this is just a continuation of your life beyond that. So what does it really matter?
Right. I think they did a good job of making it seem like with the class system. Like when you're rich, you can have this backup of consciousness, which probably would happen in our day and age. Just like if you're poor, you don't have the option to be in a sleeve, so you're dead, or you're whatever happens to your stack, maybe you're stuck there. And just like religion, you would have really religious people say, look, we're creating immortality. This is not God's plan. When you're done. Like, just let us die. So they did a good job of making it as realistic as we can imagine it to be based on our reality.
Kind of overall, it actually reminded me a little bit of the Schwarzenegger movie from like, I guess it was like the late 90s or the early 2000s called The Sixth Day, where like he ended up being they had invented cloning. And as far as anyone knew, they were just using it for like body parts, almost kind of like The Island.
Okay.
But they like had these like eye like goggle things that people would look into. It would scan all their memories and everything, and then they would download that into a new body. So if you were for these like super rich people, they had backups of their entire body that they could just upload their consciousness into.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that actually makes perfect sense then. Because I feel like that is what would happen. The rich would somehow, like an iCloud for your consciousness, they would be able to afford that.
And have,
whereas
like,
middle-class people
space.
maybe could afford a new sleeve, but it would be a downgraded sleeve. Like it makes sense. To me right now, conceptually, that makes sense of how it would work hundreds of years in the future if this were to actually happen.
And that's why it's a believable show. Like it throws you into it, and it's this very foreign Blade Runner-y kind of world, but it's enough humanity where it's like you can see the progress where this is a realistic environment.
It's definitely sci-fi, not fantasy. Like
This is definitely like hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
So jumping into the actual storyline, we start off and we see Joel Kinnaman's character Kovacs, who is being brought back to life, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Which is also really cool. I like that whole idea of like them being almost vacuum sealed with some type of embryonic solution, which also seems like that is how you would preserve skin and moisture. And they had a whole
breathing.
Yeah, it was kind of matrixy where they were just like being preserved. Cool. And these we find out later we're going to be jumping around a little bit. We find out later in the episode that these are all prisoners in Alcatraz that basically are being held as sleeves for people who need new bodies for whatever reason.
We find out about the girl that it's not just rich people that get to be re-sleeved, but in this environment, what do you call it? Like a death, like
what would be like a murder with kids, right?
I think it was like if you lose your life or you lose your sleeve because of some sort of a crime that was committed,
or an accident,
some type of injustice,
that you are entitled to a new sleeve.
But you don't get to choose which one. It's whatever the government has available. So we see that this 7-year-old girl is put into this body of an older, I don't know, kind of like,
I would say drug 50-year-old woman.
It's definitely an older woman. So this woman here is actually a 7-year-old girl.
Yeah. In the blue shirt, she's actually 7, and she's stuck in this older woman's sleeve, and I think that's what her mother consoling her.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and she's just like, Mommy, and it's like, this is my daughter, and it kind of brings up these questions of, okay, we don't want these people to die. Like if it's a unlawful kind of death or untimely death, they can be brought back, but kind of at what cost?
Right. It is kind of like it's a moral issue, it's an ethical issue, it's everything. But it is interesting because at the one end you don't want your kid to be dead. At the other end, you're getting back the kid's quality of life is going to completely change.
Yeah,
so
if she was a drug addict, you don't know what kind of ailments that she's going to now have to deal with. Being in this older foreign body that has
and I mean, and the cops that were there were just kind of like, all right, you just kind of have to deal with this. Like either you can pay for an upgrade and get a better sleeve, or
put her back.
Or put her back.
Like the price you pay for, I guess, immortality. You know?
Now let's jump back a little bit, because with Kovacs, his character, we see him kind of like, so he's hallucinating, or he's seeing things while he's being revived. He's kind of out of it. He doesn't know what's going on, and we see him showering with this other woman, and she's washing blood off, and they've got the stacks that they're just cleaning off, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like they stole it. That's why they're bloody to begin with, because you have to get into the base of the neck. And,
and she's picking out bone fragments. She mentions that she got a splinter. She always gets splinters. So it's kind of like, it's almost alluding to the fact that they're pros of getting these stacks out. You got to clean them. And then that's pretty much the flashback that we get at first.
Right. And this is all leading up to seeing him get killed in his original body. Because something that we were talking about before was the fact that he starts off in the beginning of the episode. He's an Asian guy, and now he's waking up in the body of a white guy, and we see them going back and forth like a lot between that character and his earlier self and his current self, and when he's like first woken up, he's like violent, like because he had died violently. He doesn't know where he is. He's really confused. He doesn't know what planet he's on. And we see the guy who's waking him up. He's like what year is it? How long have I been out? And he's scrolling through. We've got a bunch of images of this too. They're right at the very beginning. He's scrolling through all of the different past bodies or sleeves that he's been in, and there's 7 different ones. Possibly more, because it was scrolling by really fast.
It was fast,
Like he's been like a woman at some point.
A woman, he's been, multiple men, and then at the last 2, they kind of pull up and do a side-by-side, and it was his new body as this white man and his old body as Asian.
So there he is as a woman.
So there's, scrolling through his file.
And there's just a bunch of them in there, and it's interesting because like it seems like in this future, like race doesn't even really matter. Like it's just like, okay,
that is cool.
You're a body.
They don't even make it like they don't even touch base on it
as if it's issue.
It's not even something to talk about in the new, in this new futuristic world, which I thought was pretty cool. But I know we did mention a little bit of whitewash potentially in this.
Maybe.
Because we haven't read the book, so we don't know if that's exactly how the characters played out. But
So what I'm curious about is if later on in the series, this new body that he's in is going to come back, because we know that he's a criminal. We know that he's just in this body either permanently or temporarily, depending on what happens with this case. And so we don't know if like people are going to come after him because of the body that he's currently in. Because I guess someone could recognize him at some point. And think that he's someone else. But
although if it's I was going to say, well, it's 250 years in the future, but if everybody has a sleeve and is living all these multiple years, then you
would have no idea of knowing one way or the other. But let's talk about that for a second. The reason that he was brought back by Laurent's
Bancroft. Yeah, like hired him because he was the envoy.
Well, he bought him. He didn't just hire him. He bought him.
His stack to come back for.
Yeah, so this guy was Kovacs was a military guy who turned into a mercenary who had all these different skills from being in the military, and Bancroft brought him back in order to solve his own murder.
Yes, correct.
And in return, he's offering him a full pardon.
And money, like any life that he wants.
A free life in order to just solve his murder, which everybody has deemed as a suicide, but obviously he doesn't believe that, hence why he brought Kovacs back.
Right, and it's interesting because we don't know what to believe at this point either. Like we don't know what happened. Basically, all we know is what they were able to tell us is that he was shot, his stack was destroyed. Because of how wealthy he is, he's able to have a backup in the cloud from a satellite that records his memories every 48 hours. He was killed 10 minutes before they upload to back up his memories, so he doesn't remember anything from the past 2 days. He was shot with an energy weapon that is stored in his house that only 2 people have access to, him and his wife. So with that knowledge, there's one of 2 things happened. Either A, he killed himself, or his wife killed him. And his wife took a polygraph test.
Oh God, I
dreaded
have
polygraph
issue. Like, why
and passed that.
A polygraph test? Really? Like from the 60s?
I do agree. If it's hundreds of years in the future, polygraph tests aren't even a thing. Like you mentioned, Josh, it could have been a memory scan or called anything else.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of polygraph test this was, or if in the future they have like, okay, you're definitely lying, or okay, you're definitely telling the truth. Like we don't know.
But why use polygraph? It just makes Ortega sound like not
dated.
Great.
So let's talk about Ortega for a second.
I don't like her. I don't like her at all.
An Ortega rant. I love it.
So
I don't either. I have to say she did. It took me out of the show a little bit.
So we meet her because she's the one that comes and picks him up from the jail, from Alcatraz. And originally it was supposed to be Bancroft's son, but they picked him up for a DUI. So she took the limo, she went and picked him up, and is now driving him to Bancroft's house and kind of interrogating him on the way. But he has no idea who she is. She thinks that she's just her driver.
Yeah. Right.
So why don't you like her?
I think it's because she's kind of like a stereotype of kind of like a spicy Latina girl. And it's like that Michelle Rodriguez and like Fast and Furious, like any of her roles actually, where it's like, I have a chip on my shoulder and I'm going to be the antagonist and then have like this turnaround later. I don't know. I don't like her dialogue, her writing, or her character.
I agree. I think it's very rushed. Everything she says, whether it's important or not, is super quick and kind of under her breath. And she's always huffy and puffy. And obviously, she wants to have sex with Kovacs. And obviously, she hates him. But
yeah. See, I don't even understand that. Because
and then she's really fired up about him. And then she has the stereotypical partner that's in love with her and very sweet. And she just bosses him. It is a very typecast role. Yeah. And I think because this is such a futuristic type of show, they could have done any other. I don't know. They could have mixed it up. They could have maybe put more thought into her character, or gave us a little bit of an information on why she's so adamant about interrogating him in the first place. I mean, other than
because we don't even know what she. I mean, we know that she's against that she has a problem with him because he used to be a terrorist.
But also because, she was on the Bancroft case, she couldn't solve it, and now he's hiring outside help from the police because she couldn't do it. So I know she has some resentment about that as well.
Right, but at the same time, it's like, why does she care? I don't understand why, if she thinks, okay, either the wife did it or he committed suicide, and now he's just hiring this guy to figure out what actually happened. Why does she actually care that?
Right, the case is closed as far as you're concerned.
As far as she's concerned. Yeah. Why doesn't she just move on, do whatever else, and let him do this wild goose chase for all she knows or all he knows?
That's what I mean. If it was revealed on why she was so adamant about it, I think I'd maybe give her character more slack, but because there's absolutely no
she's
reason
missing
at this
work,
point.
She's getting in trouble, she's doing these things that she knows that are illegal, like tracking him without a warrant,
right?
And it's the only logical reason in the beginning of this for her to do that is she is involved in Bancroft's murder, or she's covering it up, or she's the one that did it. If it's not that, it's
resentment.
What?
She's going a bit far if it's just resentment alone, or being bitter that she couldn't solve the case.
Yeah, I mean, I understand being wary of this guy because he's a terrorist, but just keep an eye on him.
Right. There's no need to track him every second.
You don't have to be there
to run out of dinner with your mom. Relax.
Yeah. It's very bizarre that she has such a hard-on for going after this guy.
Immediately, didn't even meet, just get in the car, I'm going to take you. And
she didn't even know who he was.
Yeah,
at first, she had no idea who this guy was, didn't know his name, didn't know... she didn't know that this guy was a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She just knew that Bancroft brought this guy back from the dead to solve a murder that she couldn't solve.
Right. Yeah. Which is, why did she even drive him in the first place? I mean, I know the son couldn't pick him up, but then I don't know, there was a lot of things where she was just a very
it was just immediately, and then you would think that when she found out that he was a terrorist, that would have changed her angle with going after him.
Yeah.
But it was just the same. It was
really
the same thing throughout. Yeah. At that point, she could have just gone back to the police force, back to her headquarters or whatever, gone to her captain and been like, okay, so this guy's a terrorist. And Bancroft hired him.
And did all these things.
Yeah, he's an envoy who were all killed in the war.
Right.
for a reason.
Yeah.
And now he's back, so we should keep an eye on him. And I feel like that would have gone a lot further than just being like, I don't trust this guy.
Right. Like, you're not going to miss days of work and get in trouble out of, like, just your trust. Like, let's have some facts or something to back it, or reveal to the audience why you're so gung-ho about it.
Why you have, like, a chip on your shoulder and why this is so important to you.
Yeah, or they'll do the whole scene of her, like, boxing with her partner who's holding the bag, like, which is just one big metaphor for how she craps down his throat every day. Like, it's just more about her beating him up, but...
And it's the thing where she obviously does want affection because, like, her partner is like, most people have toast, with somebody for breakfast.
Yeah.
And in the morning, she's like, I don't do that. But, like, you see her wake up and she's talking to her little...
Hawkeye.
And it's like, yeah, I slept well, thank you. It's like, I don't, like, not processing or I don't understand your question. And she was like, yeah, so how...
But at the same time, at the same time, you would think in the future that kind of a device would actually have, like, like, would have some sort of an AI with it that, like, at least like a Jarvis.
Even my Alexa tells me a joke if I ask her.
Yeah.
And that's nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you tell Siri, hey, I had a good night's sleep, she'd be like, good for you.
Right.
Like, we have Edgar Allan Poe, who's like an AI and like is a total badass.
Oh yeah. We'll get into that
and all this other stuff. But it's just like, really, Hawkeye? You don't understand what's going on?
Right.
So, what were your first thoughts of Bancroft's wife?
I liked her. I think she's super interesting.
Yeah, so the wife is the picture in the white dress.
Never wears a bra throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, that
she's
like
just an observation.
Kind of cold.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's
not
sexy.
mad at it. Yeah,
and she has obvious sex appeal. She got a really good sleep.
There she is.
Herself. I like
cold
her.
as ever, but I do. Yeah,
I was really confused.
Tell if she's evil, if she's
I don't know.
good. Like, I can't tell yet.
Like seeing her and just seeing her walk around in this dress, like I was really confused if like it was just her nipple poking through, or if it was a see-through dress. Because I'm watching it, I'm like. It was just very off-putting for me because I couldn't tell whether like she was standing there with a see-through dress on in front of her son.
Oh,
and I was like, that's very bizarre.
I thought it was silk.
I mean, it might be silk. It might just be the way that it's draped on her.
Yeah.
But when
light hits certain fabrics, it gives the illusion that it's
shimmer.
The sheerness.
That would be a very odd relationship.
Agreed. I mean, I think it's weird anyways that she was walking around with her son just with their nipples poking out. But to each their own. It's the future. They're progressive.
You can't help that though.
Yeah.
They pop out when they pop out.
But I kind of got like a little bit of an evil vibe from her. Not that I didn't like her character, just that her role in this show might be darker than what we've seen, but it could be. Could just be for show.
She's not going to expose all of her cards. I think she's holding them close to her chest. She's only going to expose as much as she wants to at any given time.
Or as much as she needs to.
Yeah. But like she has the power to be really manipulative. And I don't know, it could work in Kovacs' favor. It could be not. Like I'm not sure what her role in this whole thing is going to be, but
she's intriguing. Powerful. She's probably like one of the more intriguing characters in the show. There's 2 episodes where I'm like, you want to collect things, and you want things. She collects things from ancient.
Right. Yeah. She introduced us to something else. Jezzer, the next image is of a tree. The Songspire tree that was an ancient tree that they had shipped over from wherever. Like we don't even really know where it came from.
We're kind of assume that it's wherever Kovacs came from because he has like one of those a necklace that looks like part of the tree that glows that he's holding in the very first scene.
And he was enamored with the tree when he saw it. It was almost like
where did you get these? These don't exist anymore.
Right. And which again alludes to the fact that now we realize he's from a different planet. Mm-hmm. When he wakes up and he's like, what planet am I on? Now it's not just earthly, it's an interstellar show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like I just want to know what the deal with the tree is. Because
it's got to be something, because
it almost seems like the mother tree, like from Avatar.
I was thinking the same thing, the glowy Awa kind of.
Yeah, because obviously people aren't supposed to have it. It took
she said it cost
many fortunes to bring it over, and many lifetimes to bring it over. So who knows how long it even took to get back there.
And we see he still has that Songspire thing when he goes to the museum later on, and it glows over these old stacks, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
So the tree is obviously going to play like a major part in the show or have some kind of like tie-in, but we just don't know what it is. It's got to.
They focused on it for a bit too long for it not to have some type of...
Right.
Yeah.
And then I mean, when we start talking about episode 2, it comes up again.
Yeah. True, yeah.
But let's move on to the Raven.
I like the Raven.
The Raven was interesting.
Kovacs just wants to party. He's also like in this new body. He's been asleep for 250 years, so he's also really, I feel like, just very sexual, which just might be.
Well, he says that way. Before this one, he's at the strip club with with Ortega.
He's like, we have to go to a bar of my choice, and
he's clearly hitting on her the entire time, and he's like, look, I've got all these hormones that have been building up since they put me to sleep, so. Come on.
Down? Right. Come meet me up. I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
I would love it if you show up. And that was a gentlemanly thing to do. It's like, hey, not forcing it, but like, I think you should show up.
Yeah. He threw it out there. Yeah. He tried. Yeah. And she's so up his butt, you'd think she'd be all
right. Right. She's
definitely sending him signals, so I can see why he was like.
Right. And she's like, no, this isn't a date. No, it's not a date. Yeah. It was very obvious that she was like. Kind of into him.
Yeah. And she was like, let's get drinks. Hey, we're not done yet. Like, you want me to stay longer? More drinks.
Yeah, it's like to interrogate him, but
why? Like, she has all of the information on this guy.
Already. I think that's why I find her annoying too, is because she just isn't decisive. Like, the signals that she's giving and her actions are not parallel, and it's annoying. Like, you're basically like throwing yourself at him. And then when he's like, all right, fine. And she's like, oh my God, that is not who I am. And it's like,
right. Yes, but he also clearly has no idea what's going on.
Right. He's clueless.
Yeah. Like
but he also just kind of doesn't care. I feel like, because he just wants to go back to sleep. He wasn't even going to take the case.
Yeah.
And then he kind of changed his mind.
Later on towards the end of the episode. Yeah. But like,
after he was going to be murdered.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
It's just like I hate harping on Ortega like this, but like it's just like her.
She didn't do it for me.
Yeah, her fascination with him just doesn't make any sense. Like how she just keeps.
Yeah. It's a big part of the show. She's a big part of the show. So I mean.
Yeah. Obviously, she's going to show up later in future episodes and. Probably have a bigger role.
I mean, at this point,
I would hope
Kovacs and her are Kovacs and her are the biggest. I mean, they're the main characters. So.
Yeah. Ortega, Kovacs, and Bancroft.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is unfortunate. Why I don't like her so much.
Oh, we're gonna get. I hope she redeems herself.
Maybe she'll grow on you.
She will. Maybe.
It's just like that kind of personality. It's like we've seen it so many times before, and it's like this cookie cutter version of a character with like not a lot of depth.
Yeah,
and it's I hate stuff like this.
It's because we're kind of straying away from it now with all these great series, whether it's Netflix or not so much Hulu. Sorry, Hulu, a little Hulu, but mostly Netflix and HBO and things like that, where our shows are becoming more cinematic, more like movies. So. They're getting away from that corny typecast. They really are.
I mean,
they're catching on that we're smarter than that. Like we're already predicting the end of the show. So give us something different.
We want
give us like you said,
content.
Depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume later in the series, like probably somewhere in like episode 5 or 6 maybe, we'll probably get an episode that's centered around her a little bit more. We'll get a little bit more backstory and who she is and what's going on.
Yeah, it's revealed that her father's died.
Right. Yeah, in the second episode, we get a little bit more information about her and her mother and their relationship and her background. But before we move on to episode 2, let's talk about this whole Raven thing, because this is like a big part of what's going on with Dmitry, the Russian gangster assassin guy, I guess, who apparently has a twin out there running around someplace, which we don't know if it's an actual twin
or just a clone,
or a clone, or just another body that has his stack in it as well.
Right.
It's not fully explained, but Poe goes to town on this guy, and the Raven in general, like they mess up, so they're not
right. Well, I really did like that though, because like he's just starting to check into the Raven, and he gets this gun to the back of his head. He hasn't had a chance to check in yet, and they start going after him, and that Poe is just like. Yeah,
if you check in, you can have access to all of our amenities.
Right. Because it's an AI hotel, and nobody stays there anymore. Apparently, this is like a dated thing for whatever reason. I guess really nobody stays at AI.
They say it's like a crazy ex-girlfriend. I was like, if my crazy ex-girlfriend was like Poe and like super, right? I was like, I wouldn't mind. Poe seems like
what did they say? They're almost wired to. What they say? They use some type of quote. It's like something about they're
hardwired to one customer.
To want customers, which means, and when he had Kovacs had the gun to the back of his head, Poe.
Right, which I believe we have it. We should have a picture of Poe.
Yo, Poe's cool.
Yeah, he's
funny.
It should be towards the end.
He's got some jokes
of that grouping.
And he's
calm
the whole time. There's something about that juxtaposition of having a really stressful situation with some comic relief that was kind of nice.
I love it. Like at the end, it's like, hey, you couldn't just knock him out. He was rude. Like that whole like, my microwave is smarter than you, and Poe takes it to heart. It's like, no, I'm better than a microwave.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, who won't be? Yeah. There he is with the shotgun.
Oh, man, I love him. He's probably my favorite character. Like, I don't even know if he's a real character, but I think he is.
He is. Well, so when Kovacs goes over and he finally checks himself in, he like lays his hand down to officially check in. That's when all these guns come out.
Then we get he pops out with the shotgun. There's the Gatling guns that come down from the ceiling.
Oh, the whole place is like wired.
The whole place is just like ready and lit
Souped
to go.
And so everybody basically gets killed. Actually, I kind of forgot what happened to Dimitri. Did he?
He was killed.
Yeah. He was injured.
Killed.
Right. Let's get a picture of Dimitri up. He's the image right before the one that you had just pulled up. So this guy obviously knew that he had the twin running around.
Right.
Because as all this fighting's going on and all of his other people are being shot, which he said that he didn't need at the beginning of this whole thing.
Got a little cocky.
Right. Kovacs grabs him and he's like holding him. And he's like, okay, tell me what I need to know. Tell me what I need to know. And then he's just like, nope, and kind of turns himself to one of the guns, and he gets shot and taken out.
Interesting. Okay,
it's enough,
that's
like
right.
His head was damaged, so they were able to do a positive ID based off of his stack, but no memories were
extracted because they were damaged, which means he really, like you said, died.
Yeah.
Which is our term of actually ceasing to exist. No stack left. You're done. Interesting. So, which means whoever his boss is a heavy hitter, because if you're willing to die before you speak, that means you're, making the ultimate sacrifice to...
Either that or he doesn't care because he might also have, like, a satellite or somewhere, like...
Or some type of backup, right.
Yeah, so we don't know. Like, it's complete mystery. So many questions.
Right. And this is where my confusion over, like, the double stack thing comes in, because will his duplicate have the memories of what happened there? Or
of, like, two separate, like, simultaneous events that are going on.
Because are they just going to be clueless about what happened at the hotel now? Because...
So Dimitri had 2 stacks in his neck, right?
No. He had 1 stack in his neck, but then there was another one of him running around. Like
but like you said, you don't know if it's
but we don't know if
that's right.
Like how the memories get
transferred or if it's interesting. Right. Okay.
It's kind of like if Bancroft, he has all this money and he has download. If he puts it in 2 of his own and they go off and do different things throughout the day. How does it get combined, after 2 days? Does he have double memories of, like, at 8 p.m. on Thursday, I did this and this?
Yeah. That's where I'm confused, because, we don't know now, like, how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And then from there, Kovacs goes into a room to get a girl.
Doesn't he? I don't even think he gets a girl.
No.
Am I mixing up the other time that he... Yes, I am.
So after this, he ends up going to the bar of the hotel. Ortega and her partner show up.
Yes.
And start IDing everyone. That's how we find out that this guy was Dimitri and that he had the 2 stacks in his head.
Okay.
And again, she's giving him shit for almost being killed. And she's like, oh, well, I could take you in because of this. And he's like...
I'm the one that was almost
They attacked me, yeah.
What did she say? Organic damage, I think was the term she used, which I don't know if that meant organic, like, material with your stack or, like, literally just destroying a hotel that you don't care about anyway. Like, her whole thing goes back to Ortega being a weirdo.
It was super weird. It's just furthering her, like, vendetta against this guy for whatever.
Too much. We get it.
So after that whole scene, he goes back. He actually goes up to his room, and that's when he's like contemplating suicide. He's got the gun out. And we see an image of his actual original body. And that's the first time that we actually see that outside of the little hand thing.
Yeah, because I thought it was originally snowing, but I think it might have been ash from the fire.
Yes, right there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was part of the hallucination. Was that he was hallucinating the ash from this explosion or whatever it was coming down.
So this was his original.
This was his absolutely original body.
Gotcha. That he was born with.
He was born with.
Right.
Got it.
So after having this hallucination and seeing these visions of his sister, which he had seen a little bit earlier. He decides that he's going to take the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's like, obviously, Bancroft didn't commit suicide if someone is trying to come after me to investigate this. This is his reasoning.
Right.
Right.
And his other alternative is to fall asleep and just, again, be asleep for hundreds of years until somebody else needs you or until it's what's your other option?
Well, because we don't even know what his full sentence was, like what kind of time period that...
She did mention,
he would never get out.
She did mention because he killed, I think they had a number on it. He said he can't remember, but I think Ortega said something like 100 murders, an eternity sentence.
And plus, because he was a terrorist, he was a mercenary, envoy that went against the protectorate or, the government at the time, that it was treason. His sentence was forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know why. And he also probably thinks nobody else is going to really use me.
I think that's what the suicide was. I should just completely end
right.
it.
Yeah. Because he could have just taken his stack out and not dealt with anything anymore.
Right. Is that when we first see Quell? Is that
we see Quell in the beginning?
Yeah, we saw a couple of images of that.
That's the first time
I agree. Wasn't she yelling at him, or was that the sister that was telling him not to kill himself? Didn't they both?
I think they both showed up.
Yeah,
because he was sitting on the edge,
right?
First, and it kind of seemed like he might jump off, or he threw away the book and stuff. And the sister was like, "No, kind of thing," or he reconsidered and now being plagued by.
So Quell, I don't even think we touched base on her yet. She was
his trainer.
And the leader.
The leader of his group. Yeah. We find that out in the next episode.
But clearly there was a love interest. I mean, even during the beginning scene when he's having sex with another woman, he's clearly having flashbacks during this intercourse, thinking of her. So you kind of get the illusion, okay, he's clearly in love with this other woman, and then we come to find out.
Right. And initially from this, I thought that was one of his past bodies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure because there was in that scene all the way at the beginning, where they were flowing through, the woman was a black woman that they showed, but I don't think it was her.
I don't think so either. No. I don't.
It was really brief, so it's like...
I mean, you actually ended up taking a picture of it, Josh, but I don't think she didn't look... I could see why you would think that, but I don't think that was Quell. Yeah.
Especially since so much time passes, it's change what they look like a little bit, or,
Yeah, it's the same image that we were looking at earlier, and it's I'm pretty sure it's a different person.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see their kind of backstory / love story and see the big part that she's played with him. But yeah, so he doesn't end up killing himself. That's how he takes the case.
Yeah.
That's where we left off.
And that was the end of that
episode. Yeah. So we're running a little short on time, so we're going to have to speed through episode 2.
Okay.
But there's
fine.
There's kind of a lot that happened in this episode,
Well, the first one is bringing out so much that I think talking more about the first episode is fine. Because the second one is talking about the characters and just introducing them takes a long time.
Yeah. So this first episode starts off with a kid fishing with his dad.
Yeah.
And the woman falls out of the sky, who we don't know why, but she's already dead.
Yeah.
And
but see, that's the thing. Was she dead when she was falling out of the sky, or did she die from the fall?
The impact in the water?
Right, because I mean, she fell from a distance. Jesuit, the second image that's in there. There you go. You can kind of see.
Yeah, that upper left hand.
The upper left hand corner. She's up there.
Bird, but she's up there.
We have no idea how far she fell, where she fell from,
right?
How she got up there.
And obviously, in our day and age, we think, oh, that could be a suicide. But obviously, if you have a stack, it's not going to be suicide because you have to shatter that stack. So realistically, it looks like it'd be some type of thrown from a plane or murder or cover up or something like that.
Right. Now, at first I thought when they were talking about this later in the episode, Bancroft lives up above the clouds. That's one of the super rich people live kind of the Jetsons, way up high in the sky in these really nice skyscrapers that are above all the dirt and the grime and the smog and everything that we have. So I thought she fell out of one of those. But going back and looking at the picture, they're in the middle of the lake. How would she have fallen out of one of those into the middle of nowhere? I don't know
if it was the sound editing or whatever, but you don't ever hear her screaming, which made me assume that she was already dead and she was being dumped.
And and usually it's like human reflex to want to flail around and somehow
but she just smoothly went in.
But there's also like shock and like all kinds of like she could have like died from the just like from the shock of falling.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's weird. Like we know that her murder is going to be a big deal though.
Yeah. Because it's bookends. This is what we begin with and kind of how the episode ends, but we don't know anything about her.
Yeah. So let's follow her for a little. Let's jump around with the different storylines here. Let's follow her for a minute. So following with her after all of this, we find out that
we call her Blonde Girl for now because she was
yeah.
The naked blonde girl in the water.
Naked blonde girl, yeah.
She had a thin dress, cover something.
More nip, I know.
Yeah. Which is why, like, at first when she was in the water and we saw her like that, I thought it was Bancroft's wife.
Yeah. It did look like her at first. Also, we see Bancroft's penis. Just so you know, did anybody else catch that?
Oh yeah.
That's Netflix revealed penis. I was like, huh. I was mad. I was just like, this is new.
Rare.
This is new. I haven't seen that since Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, all I'm saying. But yeah, so blonde girl ends up falling.
Well, let me ask you guys, kind of a little bit off topic.
Talking about penises.
I was like, you guys, that's a hot button topic. How do we not come across it?
Are you guys against that? Or for like, because I mean, we always see boobs. Like we like
that's the thing.
Every show we see lots of ass, lots of boobs.
Yeah, women don't get anything.
You almost never see dick. But is that something that you guys actually want to see?
Listen, I had this conversation with Jordan. Is it aggressive because it's I mean, that's all men have that we haven't seen. Everybody has a butt. That's the one thing that you guys have that is the most. Oh,
there's this scene too. So like when the random lawyer shows up at the beginning of his room and he's just like standing there and posed just like here's a brief,
but we don't see his. We don't
see his.
We see Bancroft's. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to say about that is Bancroft to me, do I find him to be an attractive man? No. But am I always curious about human anatomy? Of course. Do I mind seeing it? Not at all. I think if women get to expose themselves, why not have the men? So I'm not against it. Now, am I still shocked? Every time. Every time I'll always be shocked.
I think that's true. But I mean, I think more so if nudity fits into like the storyline and doesn't feel contrived. Like Bancroft is like, I don't really care. You work for me. I'm the richest person. I let it all hang out.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's more his characterization. So when I see it, I'm like, he doesn't care. He picked his body and he knows what he has. And he's willing to just...
I also feel like it might be part of the story because when you are so in the future, clearly you are going to be progressive. So this idea of kind of covering yourself and being modest might be an old age thought because we look at Bancroft's wife with the kind of sheer dress. We see the girl floating in the water with another sheer dress. Mm-hmm. So this may just be our, kind of the progressive way of thinking where we're humans. This is our body.
Right. Yeah,
and with sleeves really and everything, everybody sees naked bodies. So it may be their new way of thinking, which would make sense.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not. I am just always shocked.
Yeah. Same for me. It just kind of caught me off guard because he gets up and he walks out. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, and it's quick and it's just like, okay, So,
but it's enough to be like, wait, what? That definitely was.
Right.
Yep.
It's like anytime Kevin Bacon shows his off, you're like, wait. Okay.
Hang on, let me rewind. I just gotta make sure I wasn't seeing things.
Nope, that's definitely what I thought it was.
I'm sorry. Okay, back on topic.
Back on topic. So, what do you think the deal with this woman is?
The blonde woman. I don't know. I mean, I really don't.
I feel like it might be corruption within the police department because the whole thing with Ortega coming and consoling this girl's mother where it's like, it's been 2 months. Where's her body? Did you sell it for parts? And then we find it in the morgue. They know where she is.
It could be
at least Ortega knows where she is. Yeah. Like we don't know if the captain knows where she is.
Yeah, so it either puts like Ortega in kind of like more, hey, you don't obey, the description of your law to like protect and like to follow these certain rules.
Right.
Or it's like the corruption of the whole police department or, it's not a good sign. Whatever this woman's story is, it's covering something up or leading to a bigger cover up, I feel like.
I think it could be, to go off that theory of corruption, it could be something like a higher up, somebody like Bancroft with a ton of money and is hundreds of years old, has some type of relationship with the police where, if it's an unsolved murder, you really don't know how they died. listen, I'll pay you, I'll give you a chunk of money and I need you to take it because we have a shortage of sleeves, or I want to use this sleeve for this, you know what I mean? Like almost like black market, but corruption between the cops and, you know, the cops and the rich people. You know, they can use the sleeve for anything. I want my wife to be in this beautiful body. Is there anybody that, you know what I mean, that fits this description of a young... So it could be some type of corruption with sleeves.
But see, that's even bizarre because we know that they didn't take out her stack because Ortega cut that out.
Cuts it out.
We know that she was just kind of like left down there. Like the coroner hadn't even seen her because when the coroner walks in, he's like, "Oh, where have you been?"
Right.
And when she opens it, it says like. It said empty. It said empty, but there was a body in there.
Right,
so that means, you know, they're trying to hide something. But I feel like that might be something, too, because in that episode as well, we find out about, what's the girl? They find this military guy and the daughter, and he mentions, like, oh, yeah, I'm blaming Bancroft because Bancroft personally
so the guy that Kovacs found while he was working.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, there was a lot to episode 2, now that I think about it. Episode 2 had a lot going on.
Yeah, that was. Let me look.
I think, to be honest,
the daughter was Lizzie. I think.
Lizzie was the girl.
I think the blonde naked girl that we find in the water will be revealed to have a big part in somehow of this sort. Like, I don't think it's going to be so cut and dry. I think.
I don't think it's going to be a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
I think it might tie back in. Like, it could tie into this thing with Lizzie. It could tie into any number of things.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, I think this was just the intro, and then you know, we're obviously not supposed to know, and then it'll slowly be revealed throughout the season, or maybe just episode 3, we'll get more information on her.
It's true. It kind of feels like Breaking Bad, where they'll introduce this one scene in the beginning, and you don't find out what it is until the end of the season. And I feel like that's what it is. Totally. Like, this is a big teaser, and you're gonna have to wait a while to figure out why this was even mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. Actually, you know, speaking of Breaking Bad, that's who Ortega kind of reminds me of is Walter White's wife. Like towards the beginning, because she was kind of like weird with him for a while, just for absolutely no reason. Skylar, yeah.
Huh.
Because like even after like she found out what was going on, and then there was all the shit with her boss, and just like it's just like she was just like being really she was getting like shady herself.
Yeah, she was getting shady, and I know a lot of people didn't like her character throughout the series. So
yeah, I can see that connection.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right. Yeah, because like she just got to the point where she was like, okay, I'm going to accept what I'm dealing with, but I'm going to be super shady about it too, and I'm going to do all this other shit.
Right.
But at the same time that I'm doing this bullshit that also isn't right, I'm going to be pissed at you for the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a like I feel like if she was angry at him for doing that stuff, she just could have left.
Right.
Just been like, all right,
later,
peace, I'm out.
Right.
It sucks that you have cancer, but you've got money now, so go do your own thing.
You messed up. I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Done. But
yeah, I never understood that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess you just do crazy things for marriage to make, you know, like maybe it was just part of her thing where I love this man and he's already this deep. I don't want to leave him with cancer and the kids. So
right,
the kid, you know.
And that could be a thing with this. Like for all we know, his Bancroft's wife could have killed him for a very similar reason. Like it could have been like
I still think that's my theory.
I need to protect this information.
Right.
Like maybe she was doing shady stuff. And he found out about it.
Yeah. Well, because he even says, I made a $4 billion deal and I don't know how I closed it that quick. Like, there's still memories that he doesn't even...
Just because other people were there and witnessed these things happen. He's like, that's what happened. And we're pretty certain it was you. You were focused and, you know.
Yeah.
So.
That's crazy. So from the girl that was naked floating in the water, we see her mother who's bawling her eyes out. She clearly has an idea that her daughter's body's been found because she knows she's dead.
Yeah, see, at first I thought, okay, the body's just in the water because the dad and his son just left it there because they didn't want anything to do with it.
Which is also very weird and reveals, like, this whole type of deal where dead bodies aren't like we conceive them now, where... Okay, you see a dead body, you call the police. This is like, nope, government deals with it. There's a reason she's in there. Everybody's accounted for. Everybody has a stack. So it's almost like you're GPS'd in a way, I would assume. There'd be some type of GPS thing in there. I don't know.
But see, that's also super confusing to me about this
Agreed.
stuff. Is because, okay, you've got this highly technological piece of equipment in the back of your head that downloads all of your information. You've got these things in your eye that lets you see all that basically works as a computer, but they can't track people.
Right.
They don't know where people are or what they're doing or where they've been.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because in that way, then the mother could be like...
Or just being able to extract memories of people that she's seen. When was the last time you talked to her? Like, I feel like you can investigate on your own, given the technology, and be like...
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like going back to the thing with like at the end with the coroner coming in, or whoever this person is that's coming to and sees the body of the woman from the beginning, and it's like, oh, where have you been? Don't they fucking have cameras in the morgue?
Right. I mean, I know. I'm pretty sure they have them now in morgues.
Right. Right. So wouldn't you like just be like, okay, well, we don't know where this body is. Let's go through the tape.
Right.
And see.
Let's see who took her.
And took her in there.
Right. Or like at this point now, he's like, oh, well, where have you been? Let me go back a couple of hours and see how you just randomly appeared on this table here.
Right.
Like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
That is really interesting. And now that I mentioned the whole, like, I'm sure there is GPS, unless we find out later it's ethically wrong after all of this.
Maybe.
I don't know. But from there, how did he meet the doctor that's in, or
which doctor?
The military one with the daughter?
Oh,
yes.
Okay, so that came from his investigation. So,
that's right. Okay.
So
with the death threats, it was one of the death threats.
It was one of the death threats
on it.
Yeah. So if you remember from the beginning, the lawyer shows up and she brings him to where Kovacs wakes up naked. Like because he had just got finished doing some kind of deal somewhere else, so he did whatever the needle point whatever thing is, and
the thing with his eye, and he's.
No. The thing where like you're able
to transfer bodies,
you can
transfer your consciousness
into other bodies.
Hey,
so
I'm in this part of the country or in this world, and you can just
I'm assuming he just has like clones all over the place, and he just downloads himself into a different clone.
Depending on like, hey, this is a big business that we work with.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So he goes there. They talk about the getting access to his memories and the camera before he died, which they had, or when he woke up. Like him meeting his wife, and they're like, yeah, but then we shut it down because we just wanted to make sure that everything was okay when
a breach of privacy if we record anymore.
Right. So we know that there's cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah. That just doesn't make sense. But so then he's like, okay, well, I need access to all of your information because if you're not giving me things, how am I going to be able to solve your murder if these two things tie together, but I can't access that one thing?
Right.
So he gives him access to everything. And he goes back to the hotel where Poe is like, "Hey,
and he's like,
you need a sidekick? Yeah, like he wants to be Watson.
It's so cute. It's so adorable.
And he's like, no,
Poe's my favorite.
Absolutely
and
not.
He like appears like he's like, oh, by the way, there's someone in your room. I don't know.
Yeah, their relationship's already kind of funny. You could tell Poe's going to be kind of the comic relief, kind of like that guy, like the sidekick that wants to be the sidekick so bad. And Kovacs is not having it.
And like Poe's thing is really weird with me too. Like with him being in AI, let's jump over to that because that's also like just like another minor subplot
and more questions with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he goes and he has this meeting with all these other AI things. I think I've got it still in that somewhere. It looks like a bunch of people playing poker at a table.
Yeah.
And he's talking to them, and it's like these are other AIs.
Correct. From different hotels?
From either from different hotels or different businesses that have...
I think they all switched. I think they all used to be kind of like love hotels, and now they're switching of like, hey, now we're like a DJ or a club or something.
Yeah. So there's like 4 or 5 different people there. There's the guy that looks like the I See Dead People kid, and which it actually might be him. I'm not sure. Haley Joel Osment. There's the woman. There's the black guy, and then this.
He did age similarly, so I can see.
But like they're all talking about like wanting, like kind of moving towards taking over.
Yeah, the AIs are the new superior being in this world. So
that's a whole new interesting thing too.
And they pick on Poe because it's like, why do you want to be like a human? Why are you interested in them? We are better.
Which confused me because they are acting human. Like, they're playing poker, and they're in human, what seems like human form. They're speaking like there's nothing, unless he just takes a liking to them, like he does. Poe is genuinely sweet to Kovacs and wants to help him, so maybe they're just like, why are you so nice to them? And then Poe responds, I find them interesting. I like to watch and learn that. I like to watch them. And
Right,
but
so...
it's kind of like...
So now it's like, okay, are the... Just like a complete mindfuck thing... Are the AIs the ones that are responsible for Bancroft dying? Like, are they like trying to infiltrate the human world now and like influence things?
just the sake of following the story, I really do wish that they would have made AI not look like sleeves and people and like everybody else. Like I know sleeves are bodies, but I wish they would have done something different just because it is such a difficult for me plot to follow. I kind of wish they made the AI whether they look a little just something, a feature that would differentiate them, whether it's human looking with green eyes or
some
robotic,
kind of digital
sometimes,
or
like,
something that looks
like the holographic twitch that you get sometimes. Like I wish they would have somehow made it, because that would have made
that's the other thing. Or like, so with Poe, like we saw him just like randomly appear in the elevator. Like we know that he didn't get onto the elevator with Kovacs,
which is a little holographic.
So
but he's not a hologram because he can still wield a gun,
right?
But what are the extents?
And then he just kind of appeared in the room later too. So like,
so he has matter. Like there's density to him.
Right. So is he a holograph thing that can actually like wield like effects,
can interact with actual things,
with interact things, or does he have like a robotic body that just like lives down on the first floor and he could show up in holographic form elsewhere in the hotel?
That could make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not explained, but it is kind of these things where it's like, what is the extent of your abilities and your capabilities? And then also kind of wondering about Poe, why do you want to learn about humans? Are you actually going to use this to become superior in some other aspect that the other ones don't understand? Because obviously he doesn't respect them.
Also, there's so many subplots. Do we need another story?
Right. Like this kind of goes back to what I was talking about before with it being like this whole thing being based off of series of books. Like there might be things that pop up that we don't get answers to this season because like they might just be like long running plot threads that get like wrapped up later.
Yeah, in book 4 or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know, for that though specific reason, I feel like unless you know you have season 2 locked down, it's kind of like just put the relevant information in there. But I understand why they have to do that, like you said, because if they do get cleared, if they get cleared for 4 seasons, they gotta be able to.
Right, because I mean, like Game of Thrones has done like similar things where like they, obviously the books are huge and massive, and there's so many characters in them that like on a TV show it's hard to put all those people. So they'll merge plot lines together.
Right,
so they'll merge characters. So they'll be like, oh well, this happened to this character in the book, but because this character has already been established in the TV show, and we don't want to bring yet another character in, and we're going to put their plot line to this character that doesn't really have anything going on right now.
Which makes sense. Okay.
So, like, I don't know how much of that has gone on.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true.
So it's just like a very bizarre thing now.
Right. So moral of the story is, during this whole poker game, it appears that AI are clearly plotting something or against the humans in some form or fashion.
Yeah, right. Sentient enough to be like, we are better in a lot of different forms. Kind of remind me of Her a little bit. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about earlier. Is like the singularity when AI just kind of goes on and goes and does their own thing. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Or or are we like heading towards like Judgment Day from like Terminator, where the AI is just going to come in and like infiltrate like everyone's like stack and like replace their personalities with AI personalities and just be like, all right, you guys are done. You've had your time on Earth. Now it's us.
There's so much that could happen,
right? And it brings up so many more questions, like these small questions about these actual plot lines. It's like, can they manipulate? Can they send viruses to people? How far does it go? And it's like, this is
right. Or do they want to like genocide? Do they want just power?
Can the AI control people through their stats?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. And it's like, will that relate to this? And it's like, there's just so many questions. It's only 2 episodes, but I feel like there's so much information.
Well, there's a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I mean, even if to the point where, what if AIs, like you said, are the ones that killed Bancroft, and they're just like, oh my god, silly humans just waging a war between each other, but they're the ones throwing these wild cards out.
Yeah. There's no way to know at this point.
I know.
It's interesting.
What was the other big thing that happened?
Well, we've got the big investigation. Like,
duh. That's what I'm talking about. There's so much.
Yeah.
To this show.
So in his room, he's going through all these different death threats.
Right. He puts that little thing in his eye.
Right.
He's able to see
and
everything.
there's like over 3,000 of them, and eventually he's like, okay, let's cross-reference this stuff and this stuff. Let's eliminate these and then eliminate those and eliminate this. He narrows it down. Now he's got like 12 or 13, and we can see here that like finally in that grid down at the bottom, he's locked it down to like 25 or whatever that is. He's like, okay, so now which ones of these look like they're actually potential things?
Mm-hmm. And the voice distorted with the military.
Right. There was a military guy, and then he sees the one with the guy with the gun, and then he's like, okay, this one's interesting. Let's see what's going on with this. And he kind of zooms in, and we can see the serial number rifle.
Which is how he tracks down this guy. Does he have a name?
He does have a name.
He does.
What that name is, I don't necessarily know.
Unclear. Another big part of that death threat, it wasn't just the military grade gun with the serial number, but it was also what he was saying. Although his voice was distorted and
Vernon Elliott.
Vernon Elliott
was the guy's name.
And he said, this is for Lizzie. So he
motivator.
He gave it motive, where the other death threats were like, I'm gonna kill you. This would actually had motive. So
right. And while he's walking to find this guy, he sees this. The Quell, the
which
banners.
Is Quell, yeah.
Which is Quell, and that's just like a whole nother thing, which is like, okay, well,
his whole personal past.
Right. And 250 years later, they see that.
Yeah.
And it's part of history, and I think that's what's interesting too, because the winners are the ones that write the history books and can manipulate how people think, and we see that with this young girl kind of being like, indirectly like, these are bad people, you are a bad person.
Right.
Which is also really satirical. Is that a word, satirical?
Yeah.
I mean, really, a lot of this is kind of...
It's a little tongue-in-cheek about like our own history.
Yeah.
And,
Right. So finally he finds this guy here, this Vernon Elliott guy, and he knocks him out, ties him up, and he's like, okay, what's going on? Tell me what your deal is.
And he doesn't say anything.
Right.
But he finds out that he's been using this VR technology.
Right. And that his daughter that was killed was
Lizzie.
Her stack was just in there.
Her stack, looked like submerged in some type of liquid, and almost like it used like a man-made head device that he put on himself to find Vernon's daughter Lizzie stuck in this almost like a torture loop. Like it's almost like she's reliving her last memory
reliving her
death.
death over and over and over again. And which is sad, but I think even more sad than that is the fact that the dad was just like, this is the only way that I can see my daughter.
That's what he said. Yeah, he's like, why would you do this? It's the only way I can see her. Which again raises questions to where is she? Why? What happened? All those.
Right. Why wasn't she able to, or why wasn't she able to get a new sleeve? Why is he not trying to find her a new sleeve?
Right. Especially since he has all this training, he's very well equipped. He knows that Bancroft is somehow involved because it's like, I'm going to see him. He wants to see me. How is he not doing something, or has he?
It looks like he's in hiding almost. Like the way his house is or bunker is set up. He says, I think he's what did he say? A doctor or a
he did some kind of medical thing within like the Marines.
Yeah,
and once a Marine, always a Marine.
Smart man. He was in the military, and he's like, oh, you should clean this place up. This place is a mess. So it's almost like he's hiding out for whatever reason. Whether it's because he does have his daughter and he's trying to protect her even though she's in this loop, or whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
So we kind of don't really know him.
We still don't know what's going on. Yeah.
And he's like,
it's
don't
just
go
very
in there.
bizarre.
Get out of here. Get out.
Yeah, it's just like he's like, his daughter died, and he's like, okay, well now I'm just gonna try and get back at Bancroft and live like a hermit in my house.
Yeah, and we don't really get much after that. He kind of he just leaves.
He's just kind of like, okay, well now I've got more than
he was tied up
about your door.
Yeah,
my bad.
Right. And he was also tied up with duct tape, and I'm like, is he gonna get out of there?
Well, he got out of the chair the first time.
First time, but this was But he's like in a recliner this time, so I was concerned for him.
I was a little confused. Maybe you could clarify. But when Kovacs comes back to see him, there were these two other guys, like guy with that weird scorpion thing on his back and like an accomplice. I didn't really understand what went down in that.
Agreed.
Scene.
Yeah. So after he went to the museum where he saw like all the stacks of all the other envoys, he went to look for the place where the daughter worked, I guess, or like the place that he saw in the vision.
Yeah, like the red light
from there.
district, whatever it was.
So he came across the jacket off.
The jacket off, yeah.
And after he left there, he runs into Vernon again, and this guy shows up. And I guess
this at Vernon's apartment? Does he go back to the apartment, or did he run into Vernon somewhere else?
This was outside of that.
So now Vernon's after him, like
following him. Yeah, because he was like, "Well, what are you doing here? Why did you come to this place?"
Right.
And he's like, "Well, I need to figure out what happened."
Right.
Because that's when he was pretending to be that guy's or that woman, the
mother.
Yes. With the
Lizzie's mother.
Stripper girl. He was saying he pretended that he was the mom. And she said, come back tomorrow. I'll ask around.
Yeah, so now Alice is convinced, like, okay, I'm going to help you out.
Right.
So he has some leads now, which is good.
Right. Which hopefully in the next episode we do see him go back and obviously the plot will thicken.
Yeah, but I don't know like whether those guys that were attacking him
were they hired? Because it looks like they had at least the Scorpion back.
They
had some massive upgrades.
Yeah, he was like Bane. Like it was just like this weird thing. Like I don't know what was going on with them.
Because like Ortega is just kind of like, oh well, they're trying to mug you because you have a lot of money, but it's like, are you that daft? Like they're obviously after this,
right, and then she arrests him again.
Oh, God, I can't stand her.
Or maybe that was the organic damage one.
No. Well, no, it was both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like
she's like, you're dressed like a whatever. It's
like a meth.
But we just saw her at what's his name's apartment. What's his name? Vernon's apartment, and Vernon's right there. So no, they weren't mugging him. It was payback because he just went into Vernon's apartment. Like,
but no, they weren't after him for going to Vernon's apartment. They were after both him and Vernon after they got out of the jacket off club.
Because there's a connection.
There's some kind of a connection between something that happened there. Because Alice, the stripper or prostitute, whatever.
Yeah.
Remember, Kovacs took off her choker.
Yeah.
And there were the choke marks underneath it.
Some of the customers like to abuse the girls, and Bancroft being rich enough to be like, I can go ahead and abuse any of these girls in any which way because I will just get them a new body.
Get them a new body.
Right. Now, where I'm confused is how he figured out which one to find.
Right. I think
how did he know which was the one that Bancroft had been visiting?
I think it might have just been a random thing of like the girls just talked to, and it just so happens like, hey, you guys all know each other. One of you will know who Lizzie is.
Right. Because they're co-workers. So
and
somebody
she wasn't close to Lizzie. That's
right. She knew who it was.
She's willing to like get more information because it's like I wish my mother would,
But like my question is, did he go into that room with Alice knowing that that Bancroft was one of her customers, or did he just plan on going in there to get more information on Lizzie, and that was just like
I think it was just more information.
Like a coincidence.
I think it was for Lizzie. That's what I took it as.
Right.
I mean,
just to get more information. But I don't think he picked out that Alice girl specifically. I think he just went in and would talk to any of whichever
room he got into.
Call girl came, would ask questions, and it just so happens that this was a good lead.
I also think it's the same thing with him looking at all the death threats. I really find it interesting that his first death threat that he really narrows down.
Well, we know that as an envoy, he has like these like really good like perception abilities.
And he could take things in objectively and kind of break it down to find the most necessary
which is why he was the guy that was hired, was because he had all these abilities to like to notice things, to know what he's getting himself into, and to be able to take all this information and be like, okay, I know what's going on.
He's like the Sherlock Holmes.
Gotcha.
And he's like
right.
the last
all the
of
puzzle
the envoys.
pieces.
Yeah, all the other ones are dead. So he's just, you have to accept at
face. But are they dead? Or are they just in that box at the museum?
Yeah, right. Well,
or some of them asleep. Like,
And the thing is, if they're like just asleep, I'm sure Bancroft could like buy any of those. Why not buy all of them and be like, hey, I need you all to go out.
Right. Like imagine the army that you would have if you just like bought all these guys and were like, listen.
First one to figure it out gets freedom.
Right. Yeah. Just like you guys go at it, figure it out, and when you're done, let's buy a planet.
Right.
You can be my own little security force.
It's like rat race kind of like. So it's like, come on, guys, we got to get this. We got to get this.
Right. The amazing race.
First place.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of this episode, I'm still confused.
I am too. I'm still confused about the guys with the.
Were they hired specifically? Are they like related? I don't know.
There's that, and then there's.
But how did Vernon know that he was going to jack it off?
Well, because he knew that. I'm assuming
he asked. He was like, "What is Jack?" And he was like, "Fuck you! I'm not telling you anything."
Right.
Okay.
So like through that, he was able to find the same sign. It's
Got
like,
it.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like a brothel.
It just deduced.
Okay.
Kind of that.
Clearly, I was confused.
But then, like, just like at the end, okay, so Bancroft's wife shows up, and he's like, "Hey, you want to bang? Let's bang."
And he was like, there's been a lot of opportunities, but I have not done it yet. You're willing.
Right. And to be fair, she did have an upgraded suit where she did have crazy crazy pheromones.
Yeah.
So she's like rubbing her sweat and her spit on him,
and
which
it's like, just go with it. You're not going to be able to like go against this anyway. So
they have this experience together.
Yeah,
then we find
and then like you can see in this image here, there's the bug that was watching them.
We find the bug and
then the weird Asian guy that was just like sitting there watching them, and we're like, okay, well, who's this guy?
Right. Like, who we have not been introduced to at all, right?
It's just like why is the thing? And like it's like a very film noir with the light just on his eyes.
Yes, definitely.
And he's just like very creepily watching him. I'm like,
and the thing is, like, are you like you have to assume that he's following Kovacs, but it's like, is he following Miriam? Like,
right. Who is this guy working for? Yeah, is this guy following Kovacs, or is he following Miriam because of Bancroft?
Right.
Or is he another third party that's just getting into? Is he an AI thing?
Yeah, like, and it's just like
so many options,
so many more questions with each episode that I can't wait to the point that some of these things start to get tied in and answered.
Yeah. I am surprised that Kovacs slept with Miriam because there's a lot on the line. But, I mean, you're doing her husband's investigation. Do you really want to muddy the waters? There's women everywhere.
I don't think he cares.
And like he didn't want the case really, and I feel like he's like
yeah. I mean,
but I'm not super invested.
Yeah, I mean, he's not afraid of anything. Clearly, he's really apathetic with this whole thing. He just got an eternity sentence, so the fact that he's alive helping.
Yeah. Like it still seems like he doesn't care whether he lives or not. So if he bangs this dude's wife and he like goes off the deep end, it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing. Your pardon is off the table now. I'm sending you back into the ice chest. Be like, all right, cool. That's what I was planning on anyway.
Yeah, but it just felt like a very manipulated thing from her. Like,
of course it was. Of course it was.
It's gonna thicken the plots.
Right now, but now the thing is, obviously because of all of his abilities, he probably knows that it is.
True. See, I always forget. Yeah. So yes, sleeves also have this updated. Yeah, they have updates. Which makes
and this guy because this certain body also had all these updates and everything too. But just as an envoy, he has like all this, his perception type stuff. So
are you born an envoy or no? Does envoy come with
I think
training? And then, is it a combination of you think training and then updated sleeves as well?
Yeah,
it could be updated sleeves,
but
then there's the whole thing like with your consciousness being in the stack. Are they able to like update your software to give you additional
like a matrix status?
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
Interesting. Oh, there's so much.
Because how else would the envoys be able to do all these things that they're supposedly able to do?
Yeah.
At first, I assumed it was like here on Earth right now, some people who have certain sensitive abilities to, be a medium or feel things or telepathy. So I didn't know if like he was just given a gift, but it makes sense now that people say upgrades and, he has all the special training. Right. That makes sense. So
yeah, I don't know, but
a lot of stuff to find out.
Yeah,
I know.
So at the end of these two episodes, like what are the obviously we've talked about a lot of different questions that we still have, but what are like the major points that you guys are wanting to find out?
Oh my gosh!
In this next episode.
In the next episode, I'd really like them to reveal who was the blonde naked girl in the water. And why she was what she's being used for. And then I would really like some more development in just fine-tuning the characters, like getting a little bit more understanding with the AI, revealing a little bit more about that, maybe coming to a conclusion or getting deeper with Vernon, and then hopefully seeing who that face was, that Asian man that we ended with. If that was somehow revealed, and then I can start to put the pieces together, that would be awesome.
Right.
What are you hoping for?
See, I don't even know if it's for the next episode, but it's like most of the things that are going on, like I don't even really care who killed Lawrence Bancroft. I'm more interested in Kovacs' like backstory. I want to know more about, like, he's the only character that I'm like, I want to know more about you. I want to know how you got to where you are, and you're obviously a caring person. You had a sister. You were interested.
You were in love at one point.
Yeah, and you were going against the government. Was it because you were hired, or was it because you actually morally believed in the cause that you were fighting for? And like everything else, especially Ortega, don't care at all.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh?
Basically, I want to know who this dude at the end was because he just kind of showed up. I want to know more about what's going on with these AI characters. Yeah. Like I'm hoping we get more of that in this next episode. But it's gonna be interesting to see how all of it plays out, because I want to see what the aftermath of Kovacs sleeping with Miriam is going to be.
I think manipulating who in that, because he's trying to find more information. Oh, she likes me, I can get more secrets out of her, or is she manipulating him? Like, hey, I'm going to try to win you over to keep my secret.
Right. Because is she doing with her husband? Like is she doing that because she thinks that okay, well, I did kill my husband, so I've got to fuck with you now to try and or
it could be payback because she kind of reveals that we have a very open marriage. He sees other women, so it's almost like an agreement. So maybe he won't care, or maybe she is using it as blackmail and he doesn't know what she's doing. So it could get messy. Yeah. I'm actually curious. I know we have other people and have rotating hosts for this show,
so I guess that's the question. Are you going to keep watching? Because like this first episode is the only one that you guys are currently scheduled to be on, unless I need to fill in later. But are you going to keep watching it?
I think, despite my frustration with not being confused and not having a full grasp on it yet, I think I will.
Does the frustration play into making you want to watch it more?
Yes, of course. Definitely. Because it's curiosity. Definitely. Now I'm just pissed and I'm like, well, I just want to figure it out now because it feels like a puzzle at this point. So I think I probably would.
Because I know there's certain people out there who are like, it's too confusing. I'm frustrated because they're not giving me any answers.
Well, talking with you guys about it has cleared up some of the holes that that I had. So now that I have a better understanding and off of bouncing ideas and insight and hearing your guys' theories and stuff, I think now I have a good foundation to where I could watch it, put the pieces together, and understand and develop a story.
So yeah, I mean, so would you? Is this a show that you would binge? Or are you just going to be like, okay, well, I can catch up on a couple of episodes now, and I can watch another episode
I'll do that. I'll make it spotty. I don't think I would binge it.
When I feel like I have time or if I'm in the mood, it's an interesting universe. It brings up a lot of different aspects that are, like, incredibly interesting. But
you definitely got to be in the mood for it.
I'm not super driven to watch it. It's not an uplifting, happy show. So you have to be in the mood for drama and for sci-fi. And, you know.
Yeah, and pay attention. I mean, it's one of those where you really have to...
It's a murder mystery thing, so it's kind of like those, like, noir kind of, hey, not damsel in distress. In this case, it's Bancroft. That's like, I need to hire a detective and figure it out. It's a certain mindset that you need to be when you watch something like this.
Agreed, yeah. You have to be in the mood, the mindset, and really pay attention, because I do feel like they kind of reveal things in a way that maybe I wouldn't. You know, small little details, a little bit of the quick banter, and you're like, oh, that was important, but that didn't seem important the way you said it. So if you pay attention, I think. But yeah, it'll be one of those shows that I kind of watch when I'm have nothing else going on, or if I'm curious for it in the movie.
It's like, I gotta watch something. Oh, yeah, next episode of this.
Yeah, I have an episode. Yeah, for sure.
Cool, great. Well, thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah! Awesome.
Where can we find you guys on social media? I know, Jessica, you have a new show that you started on your own.
Oh, yeah, I did. It was with my friend Charlie and I. It's kind of like a women's chat show, very raw and real, very casual, I guess is the best way to put it. But it's called The Dreamcatchers, so that's on YouTube. But if you go to my Instagram, I post about everything that I'm working on. So my Instagram, I've changed. It's I think it's Jessica_Heidenreich. So just look up Jess Heidenreich, HEIDENREICH, and you'll see me on Instagram. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
All right. What about you?
Instagram too. I'm ELLE_TEA.
You can find me easier on the Twitter at the Goldman. I'm on Instagram,
and
but
on the Facebook.
I don't really use the Instagram so much, but it's the Goldman with no apostrophe, obviously, because Instagram can't have those. You can also find me here on Pop Culture Renegades, at least for another week, doing the Riker maneuver for Star Trek Discovery, and whatever else happens to pop up at the time.
Sweet.
So we will see you guys again I'll see you guys again in a week with another episode.
We're gonna get re-sleeved.
Altered Carbon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Next week we'll be talking about episodes 3 and 4. I hope to see you guys here again.
Yes,
later.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.